Welcome everyone to how to monetize your recipes and food photography as a content creator. Today we're going to be talking about, even if you're a lifestyle blogger or if you focus as a food blogger, how to monetize those recipes and build partnerships with brands and all the behind the scenes of our speaker today. My name is Paola Mendez and I am the founder of the Blogger Union. The Blogger Union is a network of blogger communities dedicated to growing our members' brands and incomes through meetups, workshops, and brand collaborations, and webinars just like this one. We have communities that meet in person all across the US when the pandemic is over. And you'll find us in the Miami area with the South Florida bloggers, the New York City bloggers, Houston bloggers, and a bunch of others. So if you'd like to find out about their upcoming events or brand collaborations or just upcoming webinars, make sure you sign up as a member at thebloggerunion.com. It's free. Our speaker today is a food blogger living a plant-based life and a wellness pusher. Welcome, Alejandra. How are you today?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
We're so excited to hear all about your journey and the tips that you're going to share with us. But before we get started, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. I'm Mexican. I've been living here in Texas for over 10 years now. And I started my blog like almost 8 years. This year is going to be 8 years. That's crazy. And I started because my son was born with dairy allergy. So, but my son is 20 years old now. So when he was born like 20 years ago, it was like nothing common or usual that a kid was, especially in Mexico, right? That a kid was had dairy allergies. So I started the blog. I started reading and learning more about how to cook, how to develop recipes without dairy, and recipes that nourish our bodies and made us feel well, right? So fast forward, when we were living here in Austin first, I started to cook and to develop more recipes, and it's like the plant-based thing exploded. And some of my friends started calling me like, what do you feed your kid, or how you do this, or what do you do with this allergy, or what were the symptoms and stuff like that. So I spent a lot of time on the phone telling them just add a little bit or switch this ingredient for this and stuff like that. And like nothing was serious, right? So my husband was like, you know, this has to stop. You need to put all your recipes or all your knowledge in a place, like start a blog. And I was like, okay. So I Googled what's a blog and I started, and that's it.
I love that story because it's so organic. People were already coming for you for that advice and it just became a blog. I love that story.
I
So
know
go ahead.
it was crazy. It was crazy. It's like, I didn't even know what a blog was. And then I started slowly like learning about blogging, coding, food photography, and here we are.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned food photography because when it comes to food blogs, creating high quality, beautiful images is key. So did you already know how to take those gorgeous photos when you started your blog?
No, not at all. No, I had no idea. At the beginning, I took pictures and people were like, what is that? You know, because it was like awful. I had no skills in food photography or food styling or whatever. And but I have a major in art history, and so that kind of trained my eye, because when I was studying, you learn how to really see like a art, and if it's balanced, not balanced, the composition and all of that. So I slowly started studying photography, and I started with a point and shoot camera. And then when my pictures got a little bit better and everybody knew what was in the picture, I decided to invest in another camera. And from there, I kept just studying, taking more courses, and practicing a lot, practicing and practicing.
Oh, absolutely. Practicing with photography is so key to getting better. And what I love about
Yeah.
the kind of the way our society is evolving is that we're all taking pictures all the time. So
All the time.
we're all getting better as photographers all the time. But to get better at food photography, you definitely have to specifically practice that skill. So I think that's
Yes.
great advice. So you work with brands, usually food brands, to so that you can create content for them or develop a recipe. But what happens when you have to photograph an ingredient that is hard to photograph? Because not all food photographs the same, right?
Yeah, I know. So let me tell you a little bit how I work with brands, right? Because I think it might be helpful for everybody. For example, if I have like I made food photography for a winery. So first I take a look at the bottle and what color it is and everything about that thing that I'm gonna shoot. It doesn't matter if it's the wine bottle or oranges, apples, whatever, right? I just picture the actual product. And then I go to the brand's Instagram account and study a little bit about the feed, their aesthetic, the colors they use, what they want to represent, and what's the story behind the whole thing, right? Because, for example, some brands are like really fun and bright in color, and others are like really elegant and toned down and I don't know. So I try to read about the brand, study what's the purpose of the brand, who is their target, and all of that. And when I have the whole idea of what the brand is and what the brand wants, then I pitch some ideas, and from there, the brand chooses what they want. And now I start like trying to shoot that difficult ingredient, right? So now that I have all the background and everything that I need to know about the brand, then for example, if it's let's say something, what will be something, let's say the wine bottle, right? Because it's kind of difficult. But then I start pairing. So the brand is likes that elegant tone. So let's do something elegant. I start taking out of my props and see which are the props that are gonna make the bottle pop, you know?
Right.
So you always want to look for props and colors and that make the composition to help the product pop and not your props or your things, right? But it's a balance, because in that learning about the brands and learning about their colors and their story and everything, you have to be true to yourself and keep your own style. So, and remember that that's why they hired you, right? Because they like your stuff.
Absolutely. So in this whole description, you talked about telling a story, that you like to tell a story and that the brands are telling a story. Can
Yes.
you tell us a little bit more insight into that, or maybe share some tips on how we can tell a story with our photographs, specifically about
Yes,
food?
totally. I approach it's like branding, right? Because branding is not just your colors and your face and your logo. Branding covers a lot more than just that. It's your story, is what you want to tell people, right? So, for example, if I'm working with I don't know, apples, right? The apples, and this company is targeting kids. So their story is that it's a fun snack for kids, right? So I try to pull those things out. And then when I'm taking a picture, it's always the story I want to tell. So if I want to tell a story, if that apples are fun for kids, I'm going to use props, kids props, or super fun napkins, or super fun and colorful plates and stuff like that, that will make that will complete the story. If I'm targeting kids and my kids are part of the story that I want to tell, I won't place like roses or lilies or stuff like that. You know what I mean? So that's the thing, that when I think about the story is like, if I'm focusing on kids, kids are the main story and everything has to speak to them. So I see that picture as the story. And for example, when I'm blogging for my blog, hopefully everybody, I'm talking about food, but if you want me to talk about something else, but probably it's with a skirt and with a bag and with everything works, right? when you're blogging, you always tell a story, right? So why did that you develop this recipe, or why this recipe is important, or this pair of shoes, why is it wonderful to wear them during summer, or why are they comfortable, or all of that is your story. And every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So you have to go through the images to tell your story.
Absolutely. And I also like how you add how the different elements that you use tell a different story. And specifically, and I know that you mentioned that if we're not talking about food photography, we have other people who are in other niches. We will
Yes.
open up the the room for Q&A at the end of these questions. So feel free to add your questions to the chat, and I will scroll up and make sure we don't miss any of your questions at the end. But when we're talking about food photography, that the storytelling piece of it, it's storytelling is always important, but with photography, it's so important because, for example, you when you bake a lemon loaf, right? And you just post a picture of the lemon loaf, people don't get the idea that it's a lemon loaf unless you help tell the story with a little lemon in the picture, and that's what's going to help you tell that story.
Yes, totally. And probably it's the lemon loaf recipe that your grandma gave you, right? So you put the lemons, and you put an old recipe book, or your grandma's handwriting, or something like that that complements the story.
Absolutely. I love that. I think that tip is so crucial. It seems like such a little tip that, oh yeah, try to tell a story with your photography, but that I think really elevates people's photography immensely. So
And it ties everything together. And if, for example, if you're a travel blogger, right, and you are working with an hotel, and if it's a couple hotel, just couples hotel, you can shoot the margaritas, or you can shoot holding hands and margaritas, or stuff like that that tell the story of the hotel, you know. So it's just like playing with the idea that you're always telling a story.
Absolutely. So definitely, guys, take note, add storytelling to your photography. All right, so let's talking a little bit more about the recipe creation part of this. So when you partner with a brand, how do you approach creating a recipe for them?
Normally, I want to make the product the star of the recipe. So I always try to develop recipes that will look good on photos. I mean, I don't know if you all guys know churros, right? Like Mexican churros. They're very hard to shoot. So I probably won't do that for a brand, but I will probably do like a cake. It's very easy to shoot and will make the product pop. So if I'm making a cake with strawberries, so the strawberries are the main ingredient and are the main element of my recipe and my pictures. So when I'm developing recipes for a brand, I also think, well, let me start. That it has to look good on photography, that the ingredients that I use are very easy to find and are relatable to everybody. What else? That it's really easy for the other people to use, and that I believe in the product also. That's important, because when you really believe in the product and you like the recipe, and I mean, it shows in your pictures and it shows everywhere.
Absolutely. Definitely. So when you are working with a brand for recipe creation specifically, what kind of deliverables are those brand partnerships asking for?
It depends. It depends a lot. Some just ask for an Instagram picture. Other people ask for the product in the store. Some people ask for just the complete recipe, and other people ask for video. Other people ask for video without a recipe. Like I just did one with Instant Pot, and they wanted a video just showcasing the recipes that I do with my Instapot. So it all depends on and that's one thing that I've learned, that we were talking the other day, is like I like to be like really open with a brand, and always be open to new ideas, to new suggestions, to new things that they want, because that makes you grow also, right? Every time you do something that you're not used to, or you open the door for something new, it makes you grow and challenge yourself, and I love that.
Oh, and from the brand perspective, that's such a pleasure to work with an influencer that's like
Yeah.
open to ideas and trying new things, and just like
Yes.
a pleasure to work with. But we'll talk a little bit about
Yeah.
how professionalism in the industry in just a
Yes.
second, because I think that's really important. But
Yeah, it is.
I love something that you do, and it's that you repurpose your content. And I feel as content creators, we're always playing the catch up game of like, what am I going to post now? And you really
Yes.
use your recipe creation and your food photography in many creative ways, starting with a blog post. So if maybe you could
Yes.
tell us how you repurpose your blog post into various content for different social media channels or outlets.
Yeah, sure. Like, you want to know like how do I do it? Like the tools that I use, or how do I repurpose my content?
Well, maybe how you
Both?
create the blog post and
Okay.
how you decide to split up different pieces of it to use in different channels.
Yeah, sure.
We can get to the
Um,
tools after if you want.
okay. The way I do it is the same that I would start working with a brand, is like where I have the idea, but when I do it well, with my blog and the brands and everything, I really try to make something that it's gonna solve a problem, that it's gonna be useful for somebody. I like to develop recipes that, if, for example, you open the fridge and you only have like broccoli, it's like, ugh, what do I do with broccoli? I only have broccoli, you know? So I love to develop recipes that will help somebody. So with that in mind, I always do, for example, if I'm gonna do noodles with broccoli, so I take the picture of the final. I always, it's the same. It's like a story, right? I think, okay, so the person opens the fridge and only has broccoli. So I take the picture of just the head of the broccoli. And then what I do, and so I start like, okay, if I chop the broccoli like this or chop it like that, which way it's more helpful for that person that it's reading. So I try to take the picture and give some tips on how to use that broccoli or how to cut it, right? And then the process shots and everything. And then I always do like 2 or 3 final shots, because when I do, for example, those pictures, I can do stories for Pinterest, right? So I can do the 3 things. And you know that in Pinterest, when you're doing stories, you can put your voice over them. So I explain everything, and the why I cut the broccoli like that, and why I did this recipe, and why I did that, right? And then, so that's for Pinterest. And I also pin all the images. And for Instagram, what I do is like, I do like the final recipe. So that's the recipe. But if you want to do a carousel, you always have the other recipes, right? But if you're not doing carousels, you can do like the picture of the broccoli. I use it and I write a post about all the benefits of broccoli. You know, so it's like repurposing. And for example, the YouTube videos, I do the video and then I publish the video and everything's up. But then I take that, I get the video again and I make a reel with it. So I'm not the type of content creator that it's with the phone always like shooting, and from there I do the videos. No, I do one thing, I work one time, and then I do everything else.
That is wonderful. And
Yeah.
also, this is also very valuable when you're working with brands. So why is it
Yes.
valuable to know how to repurpose your content when you're partnering with brands?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like for example, I try to do, like, I heard one piece of advice that it's been like super important for me. It's like, always make everything like your content, I mean, at the point that you are, right? When you know that you are doing this, like, the best that you can, because you never know who's watching, right? So that has helped me a lot. But because, for example, with this partnership with Instabot, they just saw all the posts that I have without that I did with, because I really use the Instabot because I believe it brings value to other people. So those recipes, I repurpose them for this partnership. So it's always super important to do the best that you can, because you never know when that content is going to be useful.
Wow, that's incredible. You had already done the work and they just knocked on your door
Yes.
to pay you for it.
Yes. So it's perfect. And the other thing that I do that it's, I believe it's going to be helpful for everybody is like, I started my blog like 8 years or 7 years. Oh, I lost count. Ago, and those recipes that need new pictures and need SEO and need to be republished, those are recipes that you already tried. Those are recipes that they're good. So when a brand comes, you offer those recipes because they're good. They're tested. They have a good URL. They have everything. So those recipes, it's like they pay you to repurpose them, to republish them. So that's also a good tip.
That is a great tip, actually. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
So William just read my mind because he asked a question that was going to be my next question. And it was, when you started, right, you were just getting started, how did that first partnership happen? Did they approach you or you approached them? If you could tell us about it.
I knocked so many doors. It was, I always was like writing to recipes, looking online, like where can I post recipes, who needs recipes, like everywhere. I joined so many Facebook groups. I joined a lot of but it was mostly like the blogger union, right? Like associations, or I don't know how to call them, like
Blogger
committees
network?
or networks. Like, hey, does somebody knows where I can who needs a recipe? So it, like, this blog needed a recipe, so I sent my recipe, and it turns out that this online magazine also needed some pictures, so I contact them, and I knocked and knocked and knocked and knocked so many doors, and I still do, really.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you are
Yeah.
always trying to get your recipes published in other publications, and that's
Yes.
also key for
Yes.
your SEO. You're getting all
Yeah.
that SEO
No.
back to your website.
And that comes back to working with brands, because when you contact a brand, you can say, hey, my recipe got published in this publication, or hey, my recipe did this, and I also did tons of work for free. I bought the products that I love, I developed recipes, I shot the recipes, and I emailed their PR guy, and it's like, hey, I love your product. Here's my recipe. I did a whole blog post for it, and it's got so many shares, or if it didn't got shares, I didn't mention, but I said, here's the recipe. I would love to work with you. So, and from there, you got to start somewhere, right? So somebody will say yes.
I love that. And I love your persistence because you're always continue knocking on doors, even now that you're an established influencer, and you keep knocking on doors to create your own business. So,
Yes.
talking about that, let's talk about having the right attitude to get more business. And what are some tips you can share with us?
Oh my God. I'm gonna sound like a mom.
Go for it.
Always be nice. Always answer, always say thank you, always say yes, always be nice. And if you don't like a product, it's like, hey, thank you so much for offering it, but I really am not working with this type of product right now. Always give good feedback to the brands. I for a long time, I sent a thank you note to all of the brands, like, thank you for doing business with me. I just got the check, or I just got paid. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it, everything. I always send thank you notes. I send Christmas presents. I do a donation to some associations that help kids or that help different things that I believe in. And I always send, I make a donation. How do you say it? I
On
make a
behalf?
donation on behalf of the person that hired me. So I always do that, and I always give more than what they ask. I always give, like, if they ask for 3 pictures, I give 5. And if they and I know that that's my time and that's money and everything, because everybody, like, it's like, no, you're wasting your time, you're giving away your work for free. It's like, no, I'm setting the base for more work, right? So that's what I do.
Absolutely. I think establishing relationships for long term
Yes.
is the key to being able to monetize with brand partnerships, because landing each partner takes so much work. It's much better to
Yes.
build a genuine relationship with the people you're working with on the side of the brand, to just keep and that's just great advice. Thank you. And that
And
attitude led you to having so much business to actually now having a manager, right?
I do have a manager right now. She's amazing. She's really great to work with. And I started working with her because there was a time where I have 3 kids, I have my house, I have the business, I have the blog. So I started to hire people that are better than me on certain aspects, right? So I'm good at taking pictures, I'm good at cooking, I'm good at developing recipes, but she's amazing at negotiation. She's amazing to because she reaches out to people very easily. I love that. So she's really, really good with that.
That is great to hear. I'm so happy to hear you're
Yeah.
at the level where you can hire people to help you out. I think that's definitely a very
Yes.
important, something very important to realize, that you can hire people to help you out and you don't have to do everything
Oh
always.
my God. Yeah, no, it took me so much to get to this point, to be able to hire some help and to actually acknowledge that I can't do everything. So it's with my crazy life between the kids, and this was like 3 or 4 years ago. It was crazy. Like, all my kids had so many things to do, and then I had the work, and I had a lot of brands calling me, and I started to miss some points or to mix up things, and I was like, no, I need help. So she's been an amazing help.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. So that was my last question. So let's jump into the
Yes.
questions from the audience. Sarah is
Sure.
asking, how did you decide how many or which types of props to buy over the years? Do you have a go-to prop?
I started like slowly developing a collection. First I started with props that were matte. I don't like glossy things. And really, I didn't know how to shoot them. Now it's getting better. I'm getting used to them. But I always buy things that I like. I buy everywhere. I buy from HEB, from Kroger, from Anthropology, from antique shops, everywhere. So it starts slowly, but the thing that you have to remember always, that the hero of your photo is not the prop, is the food that you're putting in there. So always think that the props and textiles and glasses and everything that the props involve are the tools that are going to help your food pop. Okay, your hero, the ingredient, the main dish pop.
That's great advice, because I always love the props.
Yeah, I know,
And
and
then
it
the
happened to
props
me.
steal the
Yeah,
glory.
yeah, and then you have the prop and it's like, what's in there? So yeah.
Okay, perfect. Ariel is asking, do you have any tips for telling a story and maintaining consistent branding in food photography that is on the go, for instance, at a restaurant?
Oh my God, that's a hard question. That's a hard, but you know what? Like the story would be like what you order, right? Or you can even do like you can even make stories like when I get into the restaurant, like the whole view of the restaurant, or if the restaurant has a cute door, or the restaurant has a cute sign, or like just think as the complete restaurant as the, I don't know, like do you remember, I don't know why it came to mind, the story of Goldilocks, that it's like the house, the big bowl, the small bowl, the this thing, this. So I think that when you go into a restaurant, I love to like the experience, right? What do I feel when I go inside the restaurant? It's a dark and moody, and the story and your branding will be always your shots. If you have like a specific shot that you always do, or if you do like black and white, like there's this guy, I forgot his name, but he always does like the people, it's black and white. All his photography of people in the restaurant is black and white, and the dishes are color pictures. So when you're looking at the blog, it's perfect because you then you know, like this picture is from him, or this blog post is probably from him, because it mixes up the people and the shots, or probably the story will an action shot where the story when the dessert arrived and the server poured the chocolate and the cake melt and then the flame came, and I don't know, it's like being playful and find things that inspire you and that make feel you good, because probably those things that make you feel good will make feel everybody good also. So
That was a great answer to that hard question, Ale. Good job. So, Charmaine is asking, do you have to do freebies first to get recipes marketed?
What does he mean with freebies? Like what I did, like take posts with a product that I bought and make a free post with a recipe? That's what you mean?
If you can clarify for us, Charmaine, in the chat, and we'll.
Yes, she said yes.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, you know, that's a way that I started. There are a lot of people and there's a lot of discussion around the blog sphere, that they say that you shouldn't work for free and that you shouldn't do stuff for free. I did it, and I think that it's a good place to start and to show what you can do. And when you're professional and when you have an amazing picture, an amazing recipe, an amazing blog post, they're going to hire you, right? So at the end, it made sense for me, because I got like, with doing that, I got like 2-year partnership with a brand that hired me for, I don't know, I think it was 8 recipes a year or more. I don't remember because it was a long time ago. So it makes sense. I mean, you have to like put everything, weigh everything in. I see
Absolutely.
it more than working free as an opportunity to get your work out there, right? Because you never know if this girl, she's working right now in this agency or with this brand, but probably in 2 years, she's going to work in another agency and she's going to call you, or she's going to remember that you did this for her, or I don't know. It depends on you.
Absolutely. Okay, Sarah is asking, what was the best way you found to gain more followers?
Being consistent, being there for people, as I said, try to solve a problem, be helpful. I like to give ideas on, always give away my knowledge. I mean, what I know probably is going to be helpful for you. I don't like to hide things. I don't have no secrets. So I think that helps. But also putting boundaries, like putting boundaries on what you're, how can I say it? So just to put boundaries on what you are willing to give and to say and everything. So that helped me a lot, because they know that they're not going to find a certain picture of me or certain things of me, right? So they know what they're coming from for.
So you have a very specific niche, so you
Yes,
know what to
yes,
expect from
thank you. Yeah, thank you. My ideas were flying around. It's like I couldn't say it better. So thank you so much.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
that, Paula.
You got it. So that Patricia is asking, what should I include in my emails to brands? I'm assuming she wants to reach out to them to land a partnership.
Okay, so I always included my media kit. Like your media kit is everything that I don't know if you know you have a media kit. I always include my media kit, who's my target audience. Like the target audience is who you're speaking to. I always imagine like 2 or 3 friends that have no idea how to cook or no idea what to buy or no idea whatsoever what to do in their kitchen. So those are my avatars. So I always include how for the brand, how it will be helpful for people or how would it'll be helpful for them, or and always include what can you do with their product if you can you how what value are you going to add to their product, right?
Okay,
So
perfect.
for example, the apples, the apples can be snacks, can be cooked, can be like what else are you going to do with apples, right?
Okay, perfect. And I also love that you talked about 2 things. First, your media kit. So we're having a workshop on how to create your media kit.
Oh, that's great.
And I believe it's on the 22nd. So if you go to the bloggerunion.eventbrite.com, you can sign up for that workshop. If you don't have your media kit, we'll get it done over the workshop. And then another thing that you mentioned is that you have your avatar and that you know who you're talking to. And we tend to come to this topic every webinar that we have because it all starts in the foundation of how you're starting your blog. And it comes down to knowing your niche, which is what helps Ale grow her following and her blog, and knowing who her audience is and how she's helping them. So we also have an online course that shows you how to do that step by step so that you have the right foundation, because everything that we do goes back to that. And so I'm going to share the
Yes, it
link
does.
for that course also in the chat. Okay, let's keep going through the questions.
And you know what, when you have a strong foundation, it doesn't when you have a foundation, it doesn't mean that you can't go back to revise it or to tweak it a bit, but just have one. Like as long as you have one, that's
I
good.
love that you mentioned that also, Ale, because yes, absolutely. You need to start somewhere with a strong foundation, but
Yes.
we are all going to evolve because as you start
Yes.
things, you notice that you like doing this more than this. And so you have to
Yeah.
also revisit your foundation all the time because your
Yes.
audience also changes along with you. So that is great advice. Thank you, Ali. So let's see, who else has a question? Sarah is asking, how did you know, what was the level of income that you were receiving or number of partnerships that you had that you knew you could start hiring people to help you?
I mean, I didn't pay myself for a very, 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 very long time. I mean, remember, guys, that I've been doing this for almost 8 years. So it's been a while, right? So at the beginning, I mean, the first partnership I did, I won $35. It was like, but I was so like, oh, I'm $35. I mean, I got something. I was so proud of myself. And it was like 2 years or 3 years after having the blog and blogging every single day and being super consistent, right? It also took me a bit longer because I'm Mexican and my audience and my whole thing is bilingual, and at like time ago it wasn't as open or as I don't know, like for bilingual blogs to be out there, right? But from there, I used those $35. I saved them and bought a new camera. And then the little bit more that I won, I saved it and hired somebody to help me with the coding. And from there, and I mean, I started paying myself like 2 years ago or like So it depends on you. I mean, I I invested everything, and so it's not a quantity, it's how you feel, or are you able to do this jump, or are you willing to don't pay yourself and hire help, or what are your goals? Do you want to grow? Because my goal is to keep growing, right? So that's why I prefer to use that money for other things, and then
I
uh
That's such a honest answer. Thank you so much, Ale, for sharing that, because that is such a personal answer, right? You have to
yes,
decide if you're in this stage of your journey where you're investing in yourself and learning and buying
yes,
equipment and maybe, subscribing to the tools that you need, like your email marketing or buying the
yeah,
hosting for your blog. So you have to decide what works for you,
yes.
and if you can afford to have someone that can help you is another.
Yeah, no, and even like 2 years ago, or when I started paying myself, I paid all the things that I have to pay, right, at the house with the kids or whatever. And if I had a little bit extra, I invested again, and I keep investing. So hopefully one day. No, 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 I'm kidding. No, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay, wonderful. So William is asking, to start, what platform do you recommend best? Instagram or a certain blog or something else?
I started with WordPress.org. That's where I started, because I truly, 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 truly believe that you have to have something that's yours, your own domain, your own hub, and from there, everything you can share all of your content with Instagram. You can share with YouTube. You can share everything. But if you already have like your Instagram, that's perfect. Just redirect your people to your blog, because that's going to be yours. You will not suffer with algorithm changes. You're not going to lose all your content. That's what I recommend. WordPress.org, and buy your domain and have your tools that are yours, right? Your platforms that belong to you.
Absolutely. That's also what we always recommend in the Blogger Union, that you should start your own website, because, as Ale says, it's the only thing that you own, your website and your newsletter. All your social
Yes.
media channels are owned by Facebook and Google. So you want to invest your time and effort into something that you own. And then, sure, you can share, as Ale said, all your content to all those social media channels, but you're building something that is truly yours, and that is your website. And we
Yeah.
have a video on YouTube that shows you step by step how to build your website using WordPress, and I am also sharing that link in the.
Right. That's good. That's good. Because you know what, sometimes we get like really mixed up, and it happens to me all the time, that you think that Instagram is your business, or Facebook is your business, or whichever platform you're stronger, that's your business. And I have to stop, breathe, and remind myself that those are the platforms that are helping me as a marketing tool. They're not my business. They're awesome, they're amazing, you can meet people, you can get hired by brands, you can do a lot of things there, but they're not your business. Your business is your blog. Well, that's my point of view.
I absolutely agree with you, Ale. It is so
Yeah,
important for us to remember that constantly, and
yeah,
also that our social media channels are a marketing tool, and that we
yes,
educate our audience, right, and our potential readers. And so we should think of it more as a tool for inspiration and education, and not validation, because a lot of us are so worried about our engagement, how many people are following us, and how many people liked it or shared it or viewed it. And it's taking energy away from you that you can spend actually growing your brand and creating
yes.
content and sharing it on your actual website. So thank you so much for bringing that up, Ale. That was, as everything else has been great advice. And I think
Thank
that
you.
was our final question. Ale, do you have anything upcoming that you would like to promote and share with us?
Um, I have recently we came out with a project, but this is in Spanish. It's Penguin Random House. We published from 5 Latin bloggers, the most important here in the United States. That's what they told me, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep saying that. They said it, not me, and I loved it. We came up with this project that are recipes that Latinas, recetas Latinas. The name of the book is Yo Cocino Latino. And the main idea behind the book is to share our recipes, our food, but also the traditions and how Latin people, we sit at the table and we celebrate being with one another and sharing a meal together. So if that's a huge thing that's going on right now. And the other is that shortly this year, I'll have a food photography course, but it's going to be in Spanish also. And it's called Fotos y Comida. So I'll keep you posted when it comes out. And the other thing is that if somebody thinks a question that you forgot to ask right now, or that, I don't know, you're doing a photo shoot and you don't know how to do something, please reach out. My Instagram is Piloncillo&Vainilla on Instagram. Send a DM and I will shoot you a little video or give you a voice memo or answer your question or whatever you need. I'm here to help.
Oh, Ale, you're so sweet. Thank you. And congratulations on your book being published and on your upcoming course. Please do let us know when it's ready to go and we'll share it with all of our members. I'm sure
I will.
would like to learn.
Thank you so much, Paula. I will.
So that
thank you.
And also thank you for joining us today and sharing all of your insights behind
thank you.
Recipe creation and food photography. I feel like we don't really talk a lot about recipe creation and how to work with brands from that aspect. And that's another avenue of monetizing our blog. So thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Anytime I'm here to help. So, and we don't have to do this alone. We can do as a community. So I'm super helpful. I mean, grateful with you for having me here today.
Thank you, Ale. And thank you, everyone, you guys, for being so engaged and participating in the chat and submitting all of your questions. You guys were amazing as always. Don't forget to check out the blogreunion.eventbrite.com for all of our upcoming webinars and workshops. We have the media kit workshop coming up, how to think like a publicist, because most of the brands working for are publicists from that department. So it's good to know how they think. And also sign up to the Blogger Union YouTube channel because all of our free webinars, we place the replays there so you can catch up on all of the webinars you didn't get to catch live. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week and I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Thank you for joining.